Hey Laura, good morning. Just wanted to ask you, we had Haz in here a little bit ago. Just wanted to see, I know we've talked about her performances after matches before, but just her growth from last season to this season. She talked about, coming away from last year not being happy with some personal performances and working to improve upon that. What have you seen, from your perspective about how that's all, come to be at this point of the season?
Yeah, I think that would sum it up really. I think she's just stepped her game up, I think that and that just says the person she is really, that taking full responsibility, being accountable, wanting to be better and coming back and proving, why we signed her. I think is a brilliant statement about who she is as a person, and I think that's exactly what she's done.
And she spoke a little bit about the connection that the midfield's been able to grow with her and Sam. Uh, how I know, not having just as big for you guys, but to see them, Has and Sam click a bit there early into their, connection. How big is that for you, just to, keep things moving along, and so that there maybe isn't any lapse in the way that you want to play?
Yeah, I think they've been brilliant. I think their partnership's been great. I think their understanding of each other's getting better game on game. And their ability to be able to do what we need them to do in there is increasing every single week. So I think that's a huge positive for us. Obviously, with not having G and Jess and Coco and different people who can play in there. And they've got big competition with Olo and Ainsley and players like that who also want their spots too. So I think they know that they have to keep performing to be able to keep that starting spot, because there's people who want to take it from them.
Thanks, Charles. And then we'll go over to Steve.
Hi, Laura. I want to ask, going into last week, Kansas City looked unstoppable. North Carolina shocked them and upset them. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about what you think about, like, what are the weaknesses you saw maybe in Kansas City that you can exploit this week?
I don't know if it's weaknesses, but I think that the key is that you've got to stay in the game. I think if anyone can learn anything from the North Carolina game, it's stay in it, keep the score as close as possible, and you'll always have a chance. And that we say that all the time. And I think that last week's showing from North Carolina was exactly that. They were down the majority of the game, kept trying to claw their way back, and then finally got the breakthrough really late to be able to win it. I think that's what it showed. And honestly, our games against them last year were similar. We dominated the game out there in the first half. We were a couple of minutes away from going in leading that game. And then we come out in the second half and have like 90 seconds of being lunatics and lose it, and the scoreline doesn't reflect the true performance of the game. And I think if you do that, it's hard. But if you go there or play them and can stay in it and limit your mistakes against them, you have a chance, and that's what North Carolina have proved.
And generally on team fitness, I know you mentioned last week Madison Curry had to exit at halftime with a knock. Do you have any updates on her and the other injured players?
Yeah, Maddie's close. We won't know till after training today, but she's had a miraculous, is the words that keep being used, recovery from how she felt in the game, which is great. I think the decision is, how much of a risk is it to play her so close to having such a big reaction that meant she had to come out of a game. So I think that'll be a last minute call, really.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Steve. And then Charles.
The announcement came out today about Fox, coming in with this broadcast deal. Just wanted to ask you your thoughts on it. Obviously, it's better to have eyes, right? More eyes, more coverage of the club in any regard. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that, because it said that there was going to be some special programming outside of the matches themselves, and then has mentioned that they came in and spoke to at least a bunch of the players. I don't know if they spoke to you as well, but just your thoughts on that whole new
Yeah, the more coverage, the better. I know for the local fans that can't get to the games or when we're away, having something that they know that they can trust to turn on and go to, I think is huge in a local market. And we're really excited to be able to be hopefully putting a product on the TV that people want to see.
And then my last one, I know a few weeks ago I asked you about it when it wasn't technically official, but Seattle does have a women's hockey team officially now. So I know you've already spoken about, the city and the women's sports here, but can we expect to see Laura Harvey at a hockey game at some point when they start next year?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. Just making sure. Thank you, Laura.
All
Thanks,
right.
Charles. Thanks,
Cheers.
everyone.